Hi everyone, this is Killshot99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead movie chat. We're going to talk about the Rick and Jadis story, how this could go down, if turnabout is fair play. So just a lot of neat stuff we're going to talk about. I want to give a shout out to all my Patreons. You can see them up on the screen. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. And of course, you guys know these streams, the reason we do some of the Saturday and Sunday morning streams from time to time, we just want to make sure that we encompass our international audience. We have viewers from all over the world. And sometimes we're doing streams at 9 o'clock at night, and I understand 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people might not be able to participate live, so this just gives us a good mix. Before we get too far into it, I want to give a shout out to Valar, Super Chat. It says, "Good morning, 999 Army." Coffee with Kills is what we dub our early morning streams. And shout out to Steph, Emmy, Kale, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, channel members, and all the Super Chatters. And Wilson... Did I see Wilson pop in? Nope. Eric Beach, I see you. Good morning, Army. So, Will the Bill, you guys have 2 cups of coffee for me. And, I see Keelan. Happy birthday. So, Keelan's got his own account set up. I love it. I love it. So, welcome. Welcome to the team. So, good morning, crowd. Today's chat, last week we talked about something that was not familiar with everybody, I guess, was the girl code. The girls here knew the girl code, but a lot of the rest of us were like, what is that? Is that kind of, there's some strategy. You can't date your best friend's ex is what it came out to be. So we saw a little bit of Michonne and Ezekiel. So I thought, why not turn it around a little bit? If we don't know the story with Michonne and Ezekiel, we don't know how serious that's going to be. Is it going to be goodbye? Is it a moment of weakness? Is it time to move on? All of the above. Some people said it's just. Some people said it's unjust. But then we've got the Rick and Jada story. And I'm not saying it's exactly the same thing as Zeke and Michonne, but there could be a partnership here. And the reason I wanted to dig into this topic a little bit more is because there are articles out there, there's publications that are saying Pollyanna McIntosh has caught some shade, some heat from viewers. There's a fury out there that she could have been responsible for interrupting the Richonne. So if Michonne has kind of moved on, whether you agree or not agree, and then Rick, whether he moves on or he doesn't move on, why all the hate to Jadis? Is Rick immune to criticism? It's like we can blame Michonne, we can blame Jadis, but whatever we do, we can't blame Rick Grimes. Rick has like this eternal immunity. I told you guys it's Coffee with Kills. Coffee with Kills, some of the opinions listed here are not always the most popular opinion, but it just seems like the dude gets a free pass. What is... I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would ever get a free pass. I don't think most other men out there would get a free pass. Why would Rick Grimes always get a free pass? Well, he may not, but, there again, Walking Dead nerd, you bring up a very interesting question. Why have the writers written Rosita as as kind of the show-ho, or written Michonne as someone who can potentially move on, but Rick Grimes, who's had his share of interactions, Rick is immune to criticism, and the writers might not even write that into Rick Grimes' story. Because he's Rick Grimes. Jeez. So, Walking Dead nerd, I would bounce the question back to you. Would the writers, is this so outside the limits of our viewpoint of Rick Grimes that the writers would even be afraid to let Rick move on? That Michonne has kind of, had that moment of weakness, but Rick is, no. Writers going to be like, no, we're going to make him Saint Rick Grimes. I just want to get your thoughts on that, everybody. He's got other stuff to worry about. Thank you. At least Steph, I appreciate the honesty. Steph says he wouldn't get a pass in my book, neither would my man Daryl. So do we expect to see a Rick Grimes in the movie that is not about family, not about Michonne, not about Judith, not about anything else, but it's just about what's, his current objective. Just want to get a couple thoughts in here. Valar says, I think Rick knows his family's still alive. That's a good point, okay? But how much of that information do we think could be apparent? See, that it could be a possibility, but at the same time, we haven't had these helicopters going back and forth. So it might not be as if they do have the intel. Maybe they lied to Rick. Or they could have told him, hey, your family's alive, but you can't go back. There's a couple different scenarios of how this could play out. Either he's afraid to go back, he can't go back, or he's been lied to and he's been told that nobody survived it. It's been 7 years, been a long time, dude. Now, at first we won't see him, the 7-year time skip. At first it's going to be immediate. How do they pass this off to Rick Grimes? How do they get him not wanting to go back? Are they just going to intimidate him? The way Isabel kind of said, don't talk about us, don't follow us. Even if they lie, he won't believe it. E-Beat says fear is the ultimate motivation. Faking it to make it. So all good theories, all good theories. But here's the problem that I'm going to have 7 years later. That all works. So Walking Dead Nerd even says he won't believe they're dead, even if they tell him he can't leave, he'll find a way. All works, but he hasn't found a way. Right, Nerd? It's been 7 years. And we've seen no sign of Rick over 7 years. So here's the problem. Well, and it's not a problem, but here's the interest that I'm looking for in the story. So if I'm Rick Grimes and someone comes to me and says, hey, your family they can continue to live, but if you try to cross us, you try to do anything, we'll go back in and we will smoke them. No history. We'll give you constant updates. All right. So being in a situation of knowing that you got to take care of these people or something's going to happen to your family, I get it. That works for the first 6 years. But if I immediately got a report back and they said, hey, Kills, your family, the safe over there, yeah, they're being attacked and they're probably going to die. A few of them have been beheaded and they're not safe anymore. At that point, I think all bets are off. At that point, it's like, okay, well, if I cross you, you're going to kill them. And if I sit here and don't help them, someone else is going to kill them. Where's the benefit? So I think that's the dynamic that at 7 years becomes a real problem. So there's no way that Rick can be fed intel, because if he is fed intel, he would have left at the start of the Whisper War and said, you know what, I've been doing your dirty work, or I've been helping you guys for 7 years. If we have the resources, we're going to get on some choppers and we're going to go back and we're going to help them. So there's a few things that really don't make sense from that perspective. And I'm sure it's going to make sense. I'm sure it's going to be a great story. But, and I think I speak for most of you, if your family was at risk, you're not going to care about your current situation. You're going to lay it all out on the line to save your family. Is that a correct assessment for most? Lynn Nesvik says, could be like Shawshank. He's been planning the escape. So, Lynn, I could rally around that point as well, but here's the pushback I'm going to give to that. 7 years of 3 movies, and it's only about Rick planning an escape. I don't know that I'm going to get the full entertainment value out of that. Especially if you're going to make this a big screen. How many people think The Walking Dead big screen is going to be a love story? Just raise your hands. And do me a favor, pike the like button while you guys are here. We got a ton of people here on a Saturday morning. Big crowd for a Saturday morning with our international audience. So you guys think it's going to be a love story? I don't either. How many people think it's going to be a comedy? The Walking Dead comedy. I don't think so either. Probably not even a sad drama. But how many people think the Walking Dead movie on the big screen is going to be an action and adventure story? An Indiana Jones, a Terminator. It's going to be about a bigger world. It's going to be about fighting. It's going to be about staying alive. It's going to be about survival. E-Beach, there's several arcs possible. Amnesia, with false memories implemented to better accommodate time passage. All right, Eric, I'm going to touch on that as well, because I've heard that multiple times. So if we think that the Walking Dead movie is going to be about action and Rick fighting and helping and doing those things, Keelan says fighting his way home. Those are all possibilities. But I think as viewers, we have to be careful and say, what are the things that we really want to see if we're going to go see a movie? How many people love John Wick? How many people love them some John Wick? Yeah. Well, Lynn Nesvik, if you have not seen John Wick, you need to see it. It is super, super good. All the John Wick movies are great. So, don't we kind of visualize Rick going into that John Wick role? But if it's Rick versus... Can I get a safe number? A Commonwealth number? Can you guys put some... How many people do you think Rick is currently surrounded by? Just some safe numbers. Whew. Tom says 50,000. Thousands. 290, that's a pretty exact number. All right, there's a lot of people. Okay. It might be time to drink the Kool-Aid. It might be time for Rick to serve a bigger purpose to help the Walking Dead universe, to help the Walking Dead world. So maybe it's not about the story of Rick Grimes fighting to get back home. Maybe it's not about Rick killing 20,000 people in order to get back to Alexandria. Maybe the story really is about Rick's adapting to different enemies, bigger groups, more interaction. That it's not about the TV show anymore. You know, we've been spoiled up to this point. How many Walking Dead story arcs do we currently have? See, Julie, I like that. I like that. This isn't a trick question. There's 3 current story arcs with The Walking Dead. And I'll start at the beginning. Those of you that have been around for a long time, there's the Walking Dead comic, right? That's the story arc. That's the baseline for the universe. It was the publication. And then the TV show, you're right, Jennifer. I guess we could put the video games on there as well. 4, the video games would include 4. All right, there's 4. So we've got the comic, which served as a guideline. The comic was so good, they made a TV show. Many of us weren't even aware of the comic. We watched the TV show. I'm talking current, Jennifer. You were right, but I'm talking current because we haven't seen the other two. There will be a total of 2 more. So comic, The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and then the video game, which is the comic universe that has additional people. So the comic was so good, they made a TV show. And many of us watch the TV show and we really get wrapped into the characters, and that's our world. The Daryls, the Merles, all those people, the Shanes, and we kind of live and die with that. There's some people that can only do one or the other. There's some people that appreciate both. And then along the way, the Walking Dead universe expanded to the Telltale games with the Clementines and the Lees and the Kennys. And they added a character or 2 in there. But we've got kind of that group. And they haven't really crossed over any of the video games into the TV show. And then those were also popular. We got Fear the Walking Dead. Now, we can argue whether Fear the Walking Dead has lived up to the Walking Dead billing. But my point to all of this is we keep hearing these overarching themes that the Walking Dead universe is much bigger. So what has happened in Japan? What has happened in Canada? What has happened in South America? What has happened in Australia? We see the Walking Dead world through a lens for a while from Atlanta to Washington, D.C. Georgia. A brief hop into South Carolina. North Carolina. Virginia, D.C. Some of Maryland. And then they actually had the courage to say, wait, there's a West Coast, and we're going to dip our foot down into Mexico a little bit, and then come back to the United States. So they started to expand our universe. But there's millions of stories still out there. And because we're so bottled in to The Walking Dead being about Atlanta to Virginia, but the comic book addressed that, right? The comic book took it a step further. And they said, well, the Commonwealth's in Ohio, and there's bigger groups and bigger people. So what I see happening, and I want to say this from a showrunner perspective, not our group perspective. I love all of you guys. I love your opinions. But your opinions sometimes, like mine, can be in the small scope of Alexandria. And we wrap ourselves around Daryl and Michonne and Ezekiel. And we don't think about the potential of other people in other countries with other abilities. It's possible. Sit down for a second, June Smith. It's possible there's a Walking Dead character more badass than Rick Grimes that we haven't met yet. What did I just say? There it is. Here's the controversy. Coffee with Kills. Here it is. I'm ready. There's a character in Ireland named Connor Grimes. I'm being silly here. Is more of a badass than Rick Grimes. We just haven't been introduced to him yet. There's a character in Thailand that's more badass than Rick Grimes. We just haven't met him yet. So, because we've always wrapped ourselves around the TV show and the comic story, would you agree, in some regards, Robert Kirkman had to kill the Walking Dead comic to get fans to appreciate the next wave of Walking Dead characters that are going to be introduced? That fans were so interested in the life and times of Rick Grimes that by killing Rick in the comic, he opened up a whole different universe of people that we're yet to meet, of experiences that we're yet to see. I'm not trying to give them names yet. I'm not trying to make that happen. But The Walking Dead 10 years from now, 15 years, it doesn't undermine how great Rick Grimes was in the comic and how great Rick Grimes was on the TV show and how awesome he's going to be in the movie. Because I'm quite sure it's going to be an amazing story. But the other stories need to be told as well. The other stories need to be appreciated. And I certainly think, I don't know, Rolex, that they're ever going to have the possibility and they're ever going to be bigger. But you don't know until you try. I don't know there's ever going to be another character that's going to be as legendary as Rick Grimes. I mean, look, he's awesome. There's no doubt about it. But you could certainly you could make the attempt and make him smarter and stronger and better shot. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do with that. Could one make the argument that Daryl Dixon could be a stronger character than Rick Grimes and could have more longevity than Rick Grimes? How many people are really, really big Daryl Dixon fans? And most of you know, Daryl was not a part of the comic. Daryl was created for the TV show. And now that Rick is off the show, I got to be honest. I'm liking me a little bit of the Daryl story. I'm liking me a little bit of the Negan story. I'm liking a little bit of the fact that Daryl's sense of humor is coming out, that his personality is coming out, that he's not walking around grunting, that he really has a part on the show, not just to be Rick's shadow or to be Rick's yes man. Once again, not trying to take away from the legend of Rick Grimes. I'm just trying to share the spotlight with somebody else. Somebody else that's worked hard for it. Norman Reedus, who has earned this opportunity. D-Train says, Daryl not better than Rick. So D-Train, let me ask you this question. And you don't have the answer, but it is a rhetorical question. And what about 10 years from now? What about in season 20? If Rick Grimes lived through 9 seasons, and Daryl lives through 20 seasons, and Daryl's responsible on the TV show for helping take down the Whisperers and the next enemy and the next enemy and the next enemy, and we've got a lot more data that we can apply to it. Now, some of you are still going to say, nope. Rick Grimes is the first. Rick's always going to be the best. But we don't know until we see the next 5 seasons, 8 seasons, 10 seasons. Daryl might not even be there at that point either. But if he is, and he's made it 20 seasons, then give credit where credit's due. We don't know what we don't know. Very much like I said, I don't think I can ever watch Negan on the show without remembering. Now, I didn't say I wouldn't. I did not give a definitive answer. This was my comment. I said, knowing myself, it's going to be very unlikely that I'll ever be able to laugh at Negan's jokes, or that I'll be able to appreciate his character. However, I did say I'm never going to say never. If the writers do A, B, C, and D, then yes, a little bit of me is going to loosen up to this, a little bit of me, and eventually they certainly could get me there, but it's going to be a long, long road for me to do that. And I think for us to say at this point, could Daryl not go down as the most legendary character in the history of The Walking Dead? That remains to be seen. So, I got a question for the group because we brought this up last night. How many people were in Freestyle Friday last night? Just a quick show of hands if you were in Freestyle Friday. All right. Yes, most of you were. So last night, at the end of Freestyle Friday, I'd been keeping some information from many of you. And Will the Bill asked a question to put me on the spot. And it's like, well, what would you do if you were in this situation? And the information I've been withholding from you guys is behind the scenes. I've been developing a project of online real-time interactive role-playing, for example. Something fun, not super crazy, but something that we could have a good time with. Where you'd start out as maybe a Walking Dead character, and eventually as you advance, you would get your own identity, your own weapons, your own way of doing things. So I got a question. If you were to start a role-playing game and you would take on the role initially through the first few levels or first few campaigns of another character, who would you choose? I want to know, who would you pick to start out before you developed your own character identity? Maybe at level 5. So if all you were level 1 starter characters, you could have a skill set. In the Walking Dead universe, Carol, Negan, Carol, Daryl, says Will the Bill. Heart of Nixie says Carol. Michonne says Valar. Jennifer would pick Michonne. Mariah would pick Michonne. Tom would pick Negan. Carol. I love it. I love it. Shane says Keelan. Gina would pick Daryl. Carol, Carl, Carol. Walking Dead nerd just made my point for me. The only person out of the first 50 people who responded that would pick the legendary Rick Grimes. The legendary Rick Grimes. I'm not bashing Rick, but I'm just saying most of you are saying Carol, Michonne, Daryl, Negan. We even had somebody pick Shane before Rick. So trust me when I tell you that as the universe opens up and the big screen, they will make Rick legendary. I think the Walking Dead universe is going to open it up to a lot more awesome characters. It wasn't necessarily a trick question because honestly, you guys will all get your chance to pick your character. It's a few months down the road. You're going to get your chance to have character skill sets and attributes and do this live and to roll some dice and to be in a scenario. And I don't want to divulge too much information. Some of you might even want to form up your own groups and become a group of saviors or a group of wolves. Some of you might be competing against each other because we're going to have ranking systems. Some people might even super chat. And let's say that Steph and Kel and Tommy are on their own adventure and you're ranked level 5 and they're ranked level 4 and you want to make it a little bit more difficult. You might have the opportunity to super chat a few additional hindrances to slow them down. Your proverbial banana peel that they might run into. Maybe they're up against 3 walkers and somebody super chats that they want to up the game a little bit for our heroic group. And they add a couple more walkers to the equation. Or maybe Steph has a tequila bottle that she uses as her weapon and Ella Smith Jr. super chats and says, Steph goes to use her tequila bottle, and the glass breaks. So now she's without a weapon. We've got a ton of situation. It is going to be live. It is going to be real time. There's going to be observers. There's going to be interactors. There's going to be people that are griefers that try to make it harder on you. There's going to be people that support you and give you items to help bail you out of a tough situation. But you might be level 5 and you get eaten, and you're going to go back all the way to level 1. So it is going to be real-time, interactive, just a lot of things. I'm going to continue to talk about this. I'm going to set up a council, a group of people. 4 or 5 people are going to work with me for the game development. A tough situation would be, let's say, Kel's with Tommy, and Tommy goes to shoot one of the walkers, and Steph's there, and Tommy rolls a 1, and the gun, the bullet strays and shoots Stephanie's tequila bottle. The glass burst. It cuts her on the arm. She's bleeding. It attracts a couple extra walkers. Now what is she going to do? She's going to have to make a snap decision. That's the real time. So if you guys think Freestyle Friday, you got 10 seconds to react. It is going to get nuts, mad. It is going to be our own unique campaigns. It's going to be something like you have never, ever experienced. We're going to make it crazy. It's going to be about 2 hours out of your week. So we're going to pick a night that works for everybody, and hopefully we're going to have a whole lot of fun with it. So I see a lot of excitement around it. It's going to be, and somebody said it a little bit earlier, it really is back to the gaming roots. It incorporates my gaming background, my experiences with our chats, our interaction, but no 2 streams are ever going to be the same. It is going to be modular. We're going to build on it every single week. So where we start, we'll have a hard stop every week. So at 2 hours, we're done. So there will be a cliffhanger almost every single week, and then the group will tune back in, have to get caught up on it. But I'm really, really looking forward to it. I've spent a lot of time behind the scenes working on it, and I am going to partner with a couple people to get their ideas as well. But it incorporates so many different things. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to keep this stream at 30 minutes. Like I said, I'm not going to divulge too many. I see Stephanie, she's like, I do the bottle cap challenge and flip the cap to kill the walker. And you know what? On a 20-sided die, Steph, you might have a 1 in 20 chance. So we're going to have to do the die rolls. Maybe it works out for you. Maybe it doesn't. But I think once people start getting the experience, their decision-making, some people in the beginning, they're going to be risky. Because if you're level 1, it's like, hey, who cares? I get eaten. I'll stay at level 1. But when you get to like level 6, level 7, level 8, and you put all that work into building up your character, your decision-making is going to be tough, and especially if you got people like Will the Bill that might be out there to get you to make challenges a little bit tougher. So we're going to have a group of griefers that are definitely going to make it tough, but I know the Army, and we're probably also going to have a group of people that are going to try to bail you out of some tough situations. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here on Saturday morning. We will be back tomorrow night for a Walking Dead news stream. We don't want to get too far away from our Sunday streams because we are going to do our countdowns as well. But I love it. I love the amount of people saying, I'm going to survive. I lead a pretty tough campaign, so you guys know that not everything is going to be easy. Things here are certainly earned, not given. So your talent, your creativity, your resourcefulness might be the difference between you advancing and not advancing, but we will be posting weekly rankings up on our Facebook fan page as well, so you'll get to see who's made some tough decisions, and a brief synopsis of what happened and some of the real highlights from it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Enjoy your Saturday morning. I will see all of you tomorrow, and I'll be reaching out to a couple of you guys to join the Kills Council. You guys want to know the name? All right. How many people want to know the name? All right, this is the last thing I'm going to divulge, and no more hidden clues. But you got to keep it. All right. Just for the people that are here on this stream. All right. If we can get this thing up to a few more likes, those of you that haven't hit the likes, I'll release the name of what we're going to call it. And those of you that are going to be on the Kills Council, you actually have a chance to develop the game. All right, we're going to call it Playing Dead Live. So it's going to be something that we're going to build it into hundreds and hundreds of people simultaneously being involved in a campaign. Playing Dead Live, that is what it's going to be. So there you go, everybody. Just something for you to dwell on. Got some ideas? Shoot them up to me. As I said, the game is certainly still in it's in development, but we're going to do something that is going to be so much different than anyone on live broadcasting, live streams has ever done. So thanks so much for everything that you guys do, and I will see you all tomorrow night. Have a good Saturday, everybody. Peace.